Okay, welcome everybody. So if you haven't yet, do make sure that you have a strap. We'll use it in a little while. And I'm going to start laying down. We can start in constructive rest pose. So that's laying on the mat with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. And feel free to kind of adjust that in whatever way makes you feel more comfortable. So if you want to put an eye pillow over your eyes, for example, or cover yourself with a blanket if you're a bit cool, feel free to do that. And if you'd rather stay seated or be in some other shape, that's totally fine too. And take some nice deep breaths. Just kind of connecting with what it feels like to breathe right now. Taking a few moments in the quiet just to notice how you're feeling right now. What's going on with your mood, your body. Remembering the earth beneath you rising up to meet you. Acknowledging the land that you are on. How that land feels for you today. Your relationship with this place, this part of the world. Checking in with any intentions that you might have for your practice today. Knowing that our general intention is around feeling good, which is kind of a complicated concept. But a big part of what that means to me is really paying attention, listening to our bodies so that we can feel for the signals that we're getting for whether something feels right to us in that moment or not so good. And even working into those places that might be a little bit uncomfortable that we know, but that we know are supportive for our feeling good overall. So just taking a moment for that, just to contemplate that. I'm going to offer a little bit of space from here. So you have some choices. One is to remain still for a little while. That feels good for you. Another option is the intuitive movement that we've been folding in here and there, which essentially just means moving in the way that your body wants you to at this moment. Just kind of leaning into that and seeing what that is. Option 3, you can follow my suggestions and feel free to come in and out of the suggestions if that intuitive movement is kind of coming for you. So you could start with opening your arms out to the sides and beginning to roll a little bit from side to side by letting your knees rock from side to side like windshield wipers. Just letting that movement kind of roll up into your shoulders and that. Maybe you're exploring a bit of movement in your shoulders as you go. So some of you have done the windshield wiper twist with me before. And it's basically just rotating the shoulders and their sockets as we twist to explore just some movement in that area. You could keep doing that, or maybe come back to center and explore a bit of movement in the pelvis. So that could be a pelvic tilt, rocking forward and back. It's like a mini cat and cow laying on your back. Or maybe circles. Rocking side to side. Maybe you're lifting your bum right up off the ground and putting it back down like a bridge pose. And then you could lift your legs up off the ground and maybe your arms too, and give the feet and the wrists some circles, some shakes, some flicks, whatever feels right here. And then the knees could come in. And there are a few different things we could do here. One is rocking side to side. There's a happy baby that you could do. So you could let your knees go as wide as your armpits, and then maybe the feet go up. That could continue to be a rocking, or it could be still. We'll just take a few more breaths for this, just moving gently, sort of warming up some of the joints. A little bit of intuition here that's coming in. I'm doing a little Apanasana right now. I'm holding my left knee and extending my right leg long. And these are just suggestions, so you can do those practices with me or just go your way. Just switching sides when it feels right if you're doing Apanasana with me. Beautiful. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're going to explore a little bit of work into the core. So we'll kind of come back together in our movements. So when you're ready, you can place your feet back on the ground, this time with your knees pointing straight up towards the sky. And we're going to take some of those pelvic tilts with a little bit more intention. So you can have your hands on your belly for now. Inhale, tilting the tailbone forward so the belly expands and the lower back arches off the ground. Then as you exhale, gather your pelvic floor in and up, scoop your belly button towards your spine, and flatten your back to the ground. Inhale, expand the belly, arch the back, relax the pelvic floor. Exhale, pelvic floor initiates, gathering in through transverse abdominis, so everything is kind of drawing, scooping up towards the heart. Just continuing on a couple more like that. And then we'll return to a neutral spine. You can keep your hands on your hips, but just take a moment to find the engagement. So just a little bit of a natural curve behind the lower back, just a relaxed spine. Inhale, and as you exhale, don't move the spine, but do engage the pelvic floor and hug the belly button back to the spine, okay? You might place your middle fingers on your hip points and your thumbs on your low ribs, and you're just gonna imagine those points gathering towards each other subtly and staying nice and still. Inhale, and as you exhale, slide the right leg towards straight. It doesn't have to straighten completely. And then draw it back up. And then the other side, left leg slides out. And draw it back up. So just moving nice and slow. And just trying to keep that, the 4 points gathering together. So this one is really more about concentration than anything else. If you could do it really lazily and not be kind of, I shouldn't say lazily, you could do it unmindfully. You know, you would be doing the shape, but you wouldn't necessarily be feeling the work. Okay, so I'd love for you just to be kind of concentrating on gathering in, just moving nice and slow. This is a nice safe place to work. Okay, so you can keep doing this. Or if you want to add on a little, let's take the legs up to the sky. They can be bent if you need to. You can also put something underneath your bum if this feels a little intense. Okay, I'm going to take my arms up as well and just let the right leg move down some amount, keeping that engagement through the core. And then bring it up. And then the left leg is going to go down some amount. And then it's going to come back up. So what I'm concentrating on here is keeping my belly button drawing in and up so it's not popping forward. So a couple of things that you can do to modulate this. One is how far the leg goes down. The further it goes, the more work you'll have to do. You can also add the arms if you like. So if the right leg goes down, the left arm goes up over your head towards the floor. And then the two draw together. So there's a bit of a opposite sides thing here. And then as the left leg goes down, the right arm goes up over your head, staying down. I really like this one lately because it's quite subtle, but it really works. It feels really good. I find in activating that deep core. And again, this is one of those moments where feeling good, it might not feel good, pleasurable exactly in the moment, but I found that as I've gotten more familiar with core, it's been something that I feel not so good if I'm not doing it relatively regularly. I find it makes me feel supported and strong, which is something that feels good to me, which is why I do it. In the moment, it's not always that comfortable now. Okay, you guys are doing great. Let's try for 2 more each side, just knowing that, if you start getting fatigued, that's about where you want to stop. If you feel like your back is starting to ache, that means your core muscles have gone on strike. So maybe you need a break. Okay, and when that's even for you on the 2 sides, just gently relax. You can bring your knees in, or you could take soles of the feet together, knees open wide. Take a nice deep breath. And consciously breathe into your belly, into your torso, soften those muscles, pelvic floor as well. Lovely. And then we'll roll over onto one side. I'm going to go to my right side. You can support your head with your hand or rest your arm on a pillow, rest your head on your arm or a pillow. And just take your knees not quite up in line with your hips, just a little bit below, and activate your toes. Okay, gentle engagement through the core just for stability. We'll start with some simple clamshells. As you inhale, opening the knees apart, keeping the feet together, and as you exhale, closing. And just going with your breath, getting into the outer hip a little bit. And again, this is, I affectionately call this butt core because we're working muscles that really help to support the lower back. So my body feels better in general when I'm doing these regularly, though I acknowledge in the moment they can be a bit uncomfortable. So just be aware of that. I know many of you have your own relationship with butt core at this point. Just 2 more here. Good. And then relax. You can take your soft fist and just gently pat out the outer hip if you like. Okay, and that one's a great one to start with. So feel free to keep doing that, or we'll do something a little bit more challenging, and I'll give you some options there as well. So we're going to straighten out the top leg. The benefit to these is we don't have to do too many to feel an effect. Okay, so we're going to do the U shape here. So the leg is going to go slightly behind us and then up to the sky. I'll come back down floating and then forward and then up again. Whew. Oh my gosh, I'm already feeling that. So the leg goes behind and up and then down, forward and up. So how far forward is part of the journey here. So if you go, the farther forward you go, the more intense it's going to be to lift your leg up. Okay. So just kind of measuring that out for yourself, going to that place where you feel like you can feel some work, but you're not getting stressed. And you do want to have a bit of engagement in your core here so that your lower back is not kind of wobbling around as you do this. When the leg goes behind you, that's not a back bend. It's just a little bit of adjusting the angle so that we get different areas of the outer hip. Really good, you guys. This is just 2 more for me. If you want to keep going, be my guest. I think that'll be enough for me with 1 more. Whew, beautiful. And then relax. You can take that soft fist and just gently pat out any areas where the muscles feel like sometimes for me, it feels like they're kind of seizing a little because they're just working really hard and they're not so used to it. And I don't mean seizing in that sort of really intense sense, but just that they're, tightening up. Yeah. So let's stretch them out a little bit. So the first thing you can do is hold your foot behind you, point your knee down, and just get a nice little quadricep stretch here. You can open your chest a bit if you like as well. Great. And then you can place your foot in front of the right thigh, so the knee points up to the sky. This might be enough here. You might inch the foot in a little bit closer to your face. You could also open into a bit of a twist, letting the left arm open to the left if you're on the same side as me. And I'm just using my right hand to very gently guide my knee up towards the sky. For me, this one is pretty intense, so I'm just gentle with it. And whenever we're working with a stretch, we kind of want to be in that first edge, that place where we're feeling some sensation, but we don't need to go super hard into any of this. Lovely. And then when that feels complete, you can gently return to laying on your side. And then find your way over to the second side. So we'll do that little sequence on this side, and then we'll do some lovely stretches afterwards, just so you know where we're going. So we're laying on the other side. This is my left side. My knees are together and just slightly pointed down from my hips, and I want to have my head roughly in line with my spine, so my elbows kind of pointing straight up. You could rest your arm on a pillow instead as well. So flare your toes, get them nice and active, gentle engagement through the core, and just starting with some simple clamshells. So opening the knees on the inhale and gently closing them on the exhale. My thing with this one is that I have a tendency to lean back, which allows me to cheat in the sense that my outer hip doesn't have to work when I do that. So one of the things I like to focus on is keeping my pelvis stacked here. And one of the ways I do that is imagining the knee going forward and up rather than straight up. And I find I just feel it a little bit more in the outer hip when I do that. And as with any core, often when we go slower, it's actually more intense. Last 2. And 1. Good. And then pat out that outer hip. I've been lucky enough to be shoveling snow the last few days. And wow, does my lower back not like that. And I find that the core, the abdominal core and the back core is so helpful for just keeping it nice and supported so that it doesn't freak out. Okay, so let's try that little U shape. And keep in mind, you can keep doing the clamshells if the U shape doesn't work for you. So go ahead and straighten that top leg. You can point or flex the toes for this one. I have mostly a point here, but do have the foot active, okay? So the heel is going to go behind you and then up, some amount, and then down, forward, maybe in line with the bottom knee. It could be further if you want to challenge yourself more. And then up, down, floating to the back, and up. So again, a nice slow U shape. You can follow your breath here if you like, you don't have to. And just kind of going to that place where you're challenging yourself a little bit, you're feeling some work, but you're not clenching your teeth or in pain or feeling stressed. If you're feeling stressed, just back off a little bit. Stay behind stress. You can. Or in front of stress, how would you sit up? Not in stress, not stressed. Yeah, you guys are doing great. And if you start to feel like you're getting that seizing going on, if you feel like you're getting exhausted, just stop early. That's fine. You're at the place where you're getting benefit. Got about 2 more here. Beautiful. And then relax. And again, you can take that soft fist and just gently pat out the hip. And don't worry, we'll be doing more stretching for the hips today for sure, pretty shortly. So first thing we can do is hold the foot behind us and just get that nice little bit of a quadricep stretch here. Pointing the knee down, a little squeeze of the bum, foot and hand active, pressing into each other. Gently release that. Step your foot in front of your left thigh. You can bring the whole thing in a little closer to your face if you want more intensity. If you're already feeling a pretty intense stretch here, you want to move the legs a little bit away. Okay, and then you can add the twist if you like, reaching the right arm open to the right, bolstering the leg here. And maybe gently pressing the fingertips of the left hand into the knee. And again, for me, this one is pretty intense. So I'm just kind of gently softening my right hip towards the ground, but I'm keeping a bit of engagement in my hip. And this is just one of those internal signals. I'm not sure if this is one of those poses that's kind of intense for everybody, but for me, it's just really hits a hot spot. And so I'm just noticing my body not wanting to completely relax into it. And so I'm honoring that signal that my body's saying, you know, keep some engagement here. Okay, and then we'll gently come out. And then we'll lay on our backs again, and you can grab your strap if you don't already have it. And if you are not comfortable laying on your back for any reason, you can do most of this laying back on a bolster if you just need a little bit of support, like if you're pregnant and laying on the back is not comfortable. You could also do most of this seated, maybe sitting up on a little piece of support, but on the back is the easiest to get into these things. So let's take the right leg up to the sky, and you'll just wrap your strap around the ball of your foot. So just right at the bottom edge of the ball of your foot, so pretty close to the toes. You can keep your left foot on the ground, or you can straighten the leg if you like. Okay, we're going to start with a little bend in the knee and drawing the foot down towards the body and pressing the heel up to the sky. So we're feeling the calf here, if that's not obvious. If your left leg is straight, just keep it a little bit active. So I've got a little flex of my foot there. And you might experiment with pressing up through the ball of the big toe or a little bit through the ball of the baby toe. And just see where that lovely calf stretches for you. Okay, and then from here, we'll focus a bit more on the hamstring. So this is going to look similar. We're going to be holding the leg more that way, sort of towards the back of the room or towards the head. You can still have a bend in the knee for sure. You can sort of play with straightening and you'll probably still feel your calf. But the energy is going to move a little bit more into the back of the leg, into the hamstring region. Keep the left leg heavy and steady. Okay, let's ease off so that the heel comes roughly over the hip again, and then hold the 2 ends of the strap with your right hand. If your knee is not bent, you can have your left hand on your hip to help anchor that left hip, and gently begin to open your leg to the right. And maybe slightly up. I'm gonna wall my waist. I'm gonna just move up a little bit here. So depending on how flexible you are, I'm pretty flexible in this range of motion. So I have my right elbow on the ground just to kind of help support me. And I'm just ever so slightly drawing the foot towards my face. Breathing into the belly. Lovely. And then let's gently bring that back up through center. Switch hands. So you're going to hold the edges of the strap with your left hand. And I'd recommend taking your right thumb into your right hip crease. Rolling the outer thigh down towards the bottom of the mat and anchoring the hip to the ground. I'm actually already feeling the stretch when I just do the breath. And then we're going to gently draw the leg across the body towards the left. So for some of us, this is a really intense place. So it might not look like you're doing anything. Okay, others might go a little bit farther. But remember that your hip should stay on the ground, okay? We're getting into that IT bend area here, the outer leg and hip a bit. Outer hamstrings, nice deep breaths. Active foot. Beautiful. And you can stay right here or go ahead and let that hip come off the ground and move into a twist. So your right arm can open to the right and you can bring your right leg all up the way down to the left. If you prefer, you can go ahead and stack your knees, just releasing the strap, coming into a little bit more of a classic twist. And just taking some nice deep breaths here. And then gently drawing yourself back through center. If you've got your knees together, maybe you're going to go one knee and then the other. If you've got the strap, you can use the strap to help you. And then release it. You can set it to the side and just take a moment. So that might be both feet on the ground. You might have both legs straight, or you might be hugging your knees into your chest. And just sort of notice the difference in the two sides. My lower back also is a big fan of this little strap release. It always feels good after I do this. So I'm just noticing the difference in the two sides from my lower back. And then when you're ready, let's do it on the left side. So taking the strap around the ball of the left foot, relatively close to the toes, so just behind the ball of the foot. And you can hold an end of strap in each hand. Right leg might straighten, it doesn't have to. Working with as much of a bend in the knee as you need, starting with pressing the heel just up to the sky, not towards your face yet, and drawing the foot down towards the ground. So that should feel like a good calf stretch. Maybe moving the foot around a little bit. Just helping you to find that good spot. And then you can switch the intention to draw the foot a little more towards the back of the room or towards your face. And again, maybe working with a little bit of a bend in the knee or a lot of a bend in the knee. I'm feeling that into the hamstring, back of the leg, as well as probably the calf too. And then we'll ease up, bringing the heel over the hip again. You can hold the two ends of the strap in your left hand and gently open the leg to the left. And if your right leg is straight, you can place your hand just on the front of the hip to help anchor. My elbow comes down to the ground, and that might be a little bit of a question of where you're holding the strap as well, but it's nice to have that little bit of extra support. And the leg is obviously moving to the left and a little bit towards the face, maybe, if you have the space to do that. Deep breaths. Bringing the strap back up to center as you're ready, heel over the hip, and then hold the edges of the strap in your right hand. Take the left thumb into the outer hip crease and press the outer hip down towards the other foot and also towards the ground. I should say, if your right knee is bent, I actually like to cross them a little bit. I let the weight of my right knee point to the left. If that makes sense. Okay. And then we're gently, oh my gosh, this side. We're gently going to bring the leg over to the right. Whew, nice deep breaths. I know this is an intense one for a lot of people. This outer leg area is a little hard to get into sometimes, and a lot of us have tension here. Just nice deep breaths. Not overdoing it, just going as far as feels reasonable, comfortable, safe. If you ever feel unsafe, we want to change something. Uncomfortable and unsafe are different, right? So part of the practice we're doing is learning the difference between being uncomfortable while also safe and then feeling unsafe, which is something we need to get away from as fast as we can. You can stay here or let the leg come all the way towards the ground, coming into that little bit of a twist. And if you prefer, you can stack your knees as I'm going to do. Gently letting the left arm open to the left and just enjoying a nice simple twist. Here. And then gently make your way back through center, maybe maybe the top leg first, and then the bottom one, and then again pause. So you can have your feet on the floor, you can hug your knees into the chest, you can have your legs long. And take a moment to feel any feedback from your lower back, or hips or legs. And you might find it interesting to take a couple more pelvic tilts here. Inhaling to arch the spine, exhaling to flatten the back to the earth. And just noticing if anything feels different for you. When you're ready, let's make our way to our hands and our knees for cat and cow. This could be done in a seat as well. Spreading your fingers under your shoulders, knees under your hips. Toes could be tucked or not if you're on hands and knees. And let's come back to that intuitive movement principle. So the basics of cat and cow are inhaling into a back bend, exhaling to round the spine, so kind of like those pelvic tilts. But we can also close the eyes and just start to see how the body wants to move. So just kind of trusting if there's circles, if there's side to side motion, if there's downward dog or something else. Again, this is a little bit of practice, trust that your body has wisdom, that your body knows a lot of the time what you need. Not all the time, a lot of the time. There's good information there. So I'm going to come up to downward dog from here. You're welcome to join me if you want to. And keep working with that little bit of intuitive movement. So that could be bending one knee at a time, swaying the hips, could be being still, could be plank pose. And then let's walk into a standing forward bend from wherever you are. So you can have your feet at hips distance or closer or wider. And then you can hang over the legs, holding opposite elbows, or resting elbows on bent knees or fingertips to the ground. The only thing not to do in the standing forward bend is lock your knees. So as long as you've got a little space in your knees, you can just really do what feels comfortable for you here. Generally, locking the knees does not feel good. You probably know that right away. Again, you can sway, you can bend one knee at a time, just exploring. Letting your body tell you what it might like here. And then let's roll up nice and slow. So you gather in your belly, lean back into your heels, and let your head and shoulders come up last. A lot of people really love the roll up, some don't. If you're not into it, feel free to come up with a flat spine. When you get to the top, just rolling the shoulders, shaking out the legs, maybe, or being still. And take a moment in Tadasana, standing witness to the work we've done so far. Noticing how you feel. Okay, and then let's flow a little bit. Let's take some half sun salutations. So you can bend your knees softly, reach your arms up to the sky as you inhale. And as you exhale, fold over your legs. Halfway lift, draw your heart forward and up. As you exhale, melts. And the knees rising all the way up to standing. As you exhale, hands come together in front of the heart. This is one of my favorite ways to just balance mood, okay? Inhaling, opening. It can be really nice if you're anxious to calm down. Exhale, fold. It can also be really nice to cheer up if you're feeling down. Halfway lift. And fold. Knees rise up. And let's take a few on our own, just following the breath. And you're more than welcome to come back to that intuitive movement quality. So adding things, slowing down, speeding up, just kind of seeing what your body might want you to do here. And just trusting that. Practicing trusting that. And if you get lost, if you're not so sure about the sequence, just think inhale up, exhale down. But it really doesn't matter as long as it feels good for you. It's not about the sequence. Eventually, we'll collect ourselves back to center. You could have your hands resting by your sides when you get there, at your heart. Just taking a moment to receive. Good. Okay, let's explore a little bit of balance. But we're going to do our shoulders first. So let's stand sort of near the top of the mat just so that we have the availability to step back later. Let's reach the arms wide and up to the sky. I'm going to take eagle, so moving through a cactus shape with your arms, then wrap your right arm under your left. Okay, you can hold your left arm with your right elbow like this, or you can wrap your arms. Okay, so a little twist tie. Shrugging the shoulders together and down the back. Lengthen through the back of the neck. And just breathe into the shoulder stretch for a moment, which to me today feels like a lot. And then bend your knees. So you're in kind of a high squat pose. Stick your butt out behind you a little bit, but also draw the belly in so that your back is nice and neutral. Squeeze the arms together if they're together. Lean into your left leg and start getting lighter on your right foot. Okay, you might stay there. You might cross your right leg over your left. Maybe even tucking the toes behind the calf, which my knee isn't crazy about, so I think I'll just stay here. And if that's not working for you, you could also do the number 4 shape. The ankle across the thigh, okay? Squeeze everything together along the midline. Find your core and think of your gaze being beyond your arms. This pose is called eagle. Looking beyond your eagle beak. Okay, and then lift up your right leg and then gently step it back. Some of you might want to pause in a little eagle warrior 1, extending the leg back behind you, and then letting in, sorry, warrior 3, then warrior 1, out of order. So extending the leg back and then letting the foot land. So let's unwind the arms and take the hands softly to the hips. Nice. So we've got the back heel down, the toes are a little bit pointed forward. Square the hips forward, draw that tailbone down. And then lengthen the sides of the waist and take your hands around behind your back. Interlace the fingers. You could use your strap here too, if you're a bit tighter in the shoulders. Hug the shoulders together and let your heart beam up to the sky. You don't need to do anything like a back bend here, but you can if it feels really good. I'm more interested in the shoulder blades coming together and down. Okay. And then lean forward into your front leg and come onto the ball of your back foot. You can pause there at a little bit of an angle, okay? Or you can try floating your leg again, coming back through a little warrior 3. Little balance, and then gently standing up. Nice job. You can shake that out. And then take a moment to feel it. Reach the arms up. Come through a cactus and wrap the left arm underneath the right. You could do this shoulder stretch, or you could wrap the arms. Okay, lifting the elbows up slightly, hugging the shoulders together and down the back. And just taking a moment to be in the shoulder stretch. Drawing the shoulders down away from the ears. As it's gotten colder here, I feel like my shoulders are just in my ears all the time. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Okay, sometimes it's helpful to find your gaze before we balance. And your hands are kind of in front of your face if you're doing the eagle arms. So just think of looking beyond your arms and finding that gaze point almost with your third eye. Lean your weight into your right leg and wrap the left leg around to whatever degree works for you in your knees. Squeezing those inner thighs together. You could absolutely do the number 4 shape instead if that serves you better. If you've got your arm open like this, it might be a little harder to balance. You could actually do backs of the hands together, and that might be better for balance. Breathe. This one's really good for kind of squeezing out the toxins, energetic toxins. Okay, keep your eagle arms if you can.
Lift up that left leg and either step it right back into warrior one, or if you want a little more challenge today, just pausing, transitioning sort of through warrior three. So the leg extends back and then lightly land. Nice work, you guys. Softly release the eagle, hands to hips. Square those hips forward, press the back heel down, tailbone down, long through the sides of the waist. And then interlace your fingers behind you, maybe with your other thumb on top, or you could use your strap. Hug the elbows, shoulders together and down. And again, this could include a bit of a back bend with your spine. It doesn't have to. For me, it's more about the chest opening, the shoulder opening, than any particular back bend shape. So if you go into the back bend and you lose the chest and shoulder opening, maybe you need to back out a bit. Beautiful. Okay, look forward. Keep your mudra if that works for you. And again, you could experiment with, sorry, I'll go step by step. Leaning forward, just putting a bit more weight in that front leg, lifting up the back heel. Maybe trying another little balance here. Another variation of warrior three, hips squared to the ground. And that's a nice way of testing out the strength in the outer hips. They are strengthened in our balancing poses. And then stand up. Nice job. You can shake, you can wiggle, you can be still. Maybe a nice deep breath or a sigh would feel good. And then take a moment just to receive the work that we've done thus far. Beautiful. Let's reach the arms up. And then dive down to the earth. Take a halfway lift and then sit down and let's lay on our backs again. Spending lots of time on our backs today. And we'll take a bridge pose, maybe two. So feet on the ground. I like outer hips distance apart, or like my natural outer hips distance apart. Classically, it's sit bone distance, but I find it just depends on the body, so play with it. And you want your heels toes close enough that you can touch with your fingertips, but not your butt. Elbows can come beside the chest. This is how I like to practice bridge. Elbows press down and apart to squeeze the shoulder blades together and down. Core engages, but I'm not tucking my tailbone. I'm just keeping my back neutral, pressing into the heels to rise up. We do want the glutes engaged, but we also want the inner thighs hugging together. You can stay here. A variation I really like, and why don't we just try this together, is reaching down for the edges of your mat and then pull the mat apart with your hands as you snuggle the shoulders underneath your body and push the floor forward with your feet. Keep hugging those inner thighs together like you had a block between them. And then gently lower down and take a rest. You can let the knees fall together or apart. And just take a breath to notice how that felt for you. And if you have one more in you, okay, if you're happy just resting, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll take one more. So place the feet again if they've wandered, just right underneath the knees, outer hips distance, close to the bum, but not too close. Elbows underneath the chest, gently engaging the core without tucking the tailbone, just keeping it neutral. Press into the heels and rise. You can do that same variation holding the edges of the mat, or if you like, interlace your fingers and snuggle the shoulders under. Push the floor forward with your feet and hug the inner thighs together. About 5 breaths, maybe more. You could take 8 if you like. You're ready, just gently come down.
And feet could be together, knees wide, or the knees could fall together. And just take a moment to receive that, receive the work that we've done so far. And then bring the knees together again so that they're pointing up towards the sky. And then cross your left leg over top of your right one, kind of like we were doing for eagle before. And then pick that up and hug the legs towards you. So this is going to be a hip opening shape. If this doesn't work for you, for some people it's a little too compressive or just doesn't work, you can take that thread the needle that we often do, just holding on to the back of the thigh. These are a little bit wider. Otherwise, we'll try it this way. So I'm just kind of holding whatever's accessible. I've got my far knee. Keeping the feet active, though they don't necessarily have to be flexed. And breathing into that outer hip. Beautiful. Okay, you can gently release the bind with your hands and come into a twist. So there are a few different ways to do this. You can take this eagle legs to the right. So just a simple eagle twist. Some people really like that. I'm personally going to hold my left knee and extend my right leg out long and then take the left knee across. You could also stack the knees like we did earlier. And breathe. Okay, and then gently come back through center, engaging the core, using your legs if you need to, and just take a little in between. So you might want to shake your legs up to the sky or take windshield wipers just to kind of rinse that out between the two sides. And then place the feet on the floor. Right leg crosses over the left. You might already feel something there, okay, or you could bring that in. So this is essentially a supine Gomukhasana, but thread the needle is a great option too if it feels just kind of funky or it hurts when you're doing it this way. Nothing we do in this class should hurt. A little bit of discomfort, yeah, but again, that difference between uncomfortable and unsafe, which isn't always easy to know the difference, but that's part of the practice. Nice deep breaths. Lovely. Okay, when you feel ready, you can release the legs so they're still crossed. The foot can come to the floor, and then you can take an eagle twist. You might be shifting your hips a little bit to the right and bringing the knees down to the left. Or you could hold on to the right leg, extend the left, and then take the right leg across. Or you could stack the knees, just exploring these different ways of coming into the twist. When you're ready, taking a breath, gently returning to center. And then you can hug your knees in and rock side to side. You could also take a happy baby here, which I find is often really nice after especially a compressed twist like that. And then we'll make our journey into Shavasana. So if there's anything that you need to do to complete your practice, any last pose that you're craving, or maybe there's a way that you want to set up your Shavasana, or maybe it's even just a bit of intuitive movement, go ahead and do that. When you're ready, we'll rest. So some nice options are bolster under the thighs, covering over your eyes. You can put your blanket on. You're feeling a bit cold, or just to stay warm as you rest. Maybe you're just flopping out. Legs nice and wide, palms open to the sky. Receiving rest. And take a moment to notice how you're feeling right now. Beginning to invite a deeper breath, maybe some small movements in the fingers and toes. You could reach your arms up over your head, stretching out long. Gathering your knees and make your way up to a comfortable seat. Hands over top of your heart or together or wherever feels most right for you. And then gently bow your mind to your hands, honoring and acknowledging whatever it took for you to get here to your practice today. Honoring and acknowledging the long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our practice. Honoring and acknowledging the sacredness of the land. Thank you for sharing that practice with me.